All right, here we are. Chapter 8. What goes up? You know the saying, what goes up must come. Here we go. Izzy never took one breath on the walk home. She went on and on about how great my audition was and how I would most likely be cast in one of the leading parts in the show. Although my feet were still floating a foot off the ground, I kept shaking my head. I never meant to audition in the first place. I was set up by a dirty trick played by my EFF, ex friend forever, Brooklyn. Besides, maybe it's true that I could sing, but I was no actor. Never thought about it. Never wanted to be an actor. I really liked running, and my plan since starting GOT was to continue my mom's legacy from where she left off, trying to qualify for the Olympics. And when my running days were over, I would become a sports reporter, not working freelance for a newspaper like Mom, but on TV with ESPN or some other sports network. I figured I could be myself in front of a camera talking about something I loved. But playing a part, learning lines, dancing? There was no way I could do any of those things. And most important of all, I didn't want to. Are you kidding? Seriously, Mango, you got talent, and that should never go to waste. Don't tell me you weren't ecstatic when everybody was cheering and jumping on chairs and whistling for you. Bob looked like his hair was going to explode. Okay, I admit it, I said, my face getting all hot again. It did feel amazing, but Izzy stuck out her rear end and pointed to it. But is what you sit on, talent is what you bank on. I laughed as she went on and on. You got a golden throat, girl. Quit hiding your light. Step up to the plate and swing for the stars. Izzy got all dramatic and mimed holding a bat over the plate, waiting for the pitch and hitting a home run without an ounce of self-consciousness. I was uber impressed. Gotta love a crazy kid like that. I said what I usually said to Mom when I wanted her to drop the subject. I'll think about it. I will. I promise. My tactic didn't work on Izzy because when we arrived at her house, she took both my hands in hers and squeezed them really tight. Mango, there ain't nothing to think about. You may not know it yet, but you need to put a big red circle around today's date on your calendar because you'll want to remember this day you found your destiny. Did I ever tell you about my tia Maria Magdalena? She was a psychic with a gambling addiction who died in a car crash that she predicted right before she drove off to pay her bookie. I shook my head, sure that I would have remembered hearing about her. Anyway, she used to tell me, Isabel, one day you'll be struck by the lightning bolt of fate and bang! You will know your destiny. Pay attention to that lightning bolt. Follow it to the end of the rainbow, or for the rest of your life, your pockets will be so full of regret, there'll be no room for money. Izzy squeezed my hand even tighter. You get it? You understand what I'm saying? I pried my hands away before she cut off my circulation. Yes, I get it. Good. And don't forget to take a super hot, steamy shower before bed. Keeps the vocal cords ready to rock. Girl, we are going to have so much fun being in a show together, just like when we were back in kindergarten. She turned and headed up her walkway, singing at the top of her lungs. Hello! Ooh. As I walked the long blocks home, I thought about Izzy's Aunt Maria Magdalena. If she really was psychic, why did she lose all her money gambling? And if she predicted her death in a car crash, why did she get in the car? How good could her predictions be if she couldn't save her money or her life? This afternoon had been like a dream. Actually, it had been more like a nightmare that took a sharp left turn on Luck Street and turned out incredible. I decided it was foolish to waste my time worrying about getting a part in the play. Bob knew how inexperienced I was. I didn't even know an a cappella was a song. Still, maybe it wouldn't be so bad to be in the chorus. That way I could just hang out and sing along with a bunch of kids. And if I did have to do a little bit of dancing, I'd make sure they put me in the back so I could copy the steps of the dancers in front of me and definitely not be the center of attention. Another good thing was that I'd have something to do after school for the rest of the semester, and maybe I could make some new friends. True, I would be called the drama nerd behind my back, but that didn't really matter. Look at how nice they'd been all afternoon. I'd rather hang out with nerds that were kind than with jocks that hated on me. When I got upstairs to our apartment, Mom was already in the living room, huffing and puffing to her muscle torture DVD. I was so anxious to tell my family about what had happened this afternoon. I was like a bottle of soda that had been shaken before it was opened. Excitement was fizzing inside of me. But the TV was so loud and Mom was so busy sweating that I decided I'd take Jasper to the playground first and tell her about it later, after she toweled off. I went into Mom's bedroom to see if Jasper was awake in his crib, but he wasn't there. That was strange. He was always in his crib when Mom was torturing her muscles. Had he been kidnapped? Was Mom so busy sweating off calories that she hadn't even noticed? I ran back into the living room. Mom, Jasper's not in his crib. I know, Mango, she said as she panted through the push-ups. Your father took him out. Oh, I said, thinking that was strange. This wasn't Dad's day off. What was he doing at home when he should be at Manelli's prepping for dinner service? I shrugged and headed to my room to unload my backpack. If Dada had the day off for some reason, that would be cool, because I could tell him and Mom what happened at the same time. I dropped my backpack on my desk and threw myself onto the bed, crossing my hands behind my head. I stared up at the ceiling and started to sing to the crack that was shaped like Spider-Man, but I couldn't really hear myself with the exercise DVD booming from the living room. I put my fingers in my ears and started singing Halo again, facing the window. I wanted to hear what I had sounded like in the auditorium. With my fingers in my ears, it was though there was a soundproof chamber in my head, and I could hear myself really well. So well, in fact, that I didn't hear Dada knocking on my door. So I was startled and a little embarrassed when I turned around and saw him watching with Jasper in his arms. Dada was smiling, but I noticed something sad around his almond eyes. How long have you been standing there? Long enough to see that you're in a particularly lovey-dovey mood today, he said, laughing. Who's the lucky guy? You, I said, and stood on my toes to give him a peck on the cheek. Jasper was hooting with his arms outstretched to me. I took him from Dada and planted kisses all over his chubby cheeks. Come out to the living room. Your mom and I have something to tell you. I have something to tell you too, I said as I followed him out of the room. Mom was on the sofa toweling off, and Dad sat next to her. I plopped onto the floor in front of them, crisscross applesauce with Jasper on my lap. Dada said, you said you have something to tell us. Do you want to go first? No, I said, you go first. I'm saving the best for last. Mama and Dada traded nervous glances and turned to me. Mom cleared her throat and began. Mango, we want you to know that none of this is your fault, honey. We want that to be clear. A cloud must have passed over the sun, because all of a sudden, the shafts of light through the blinds that made a pattern on the carpet disappeared. My mood darkened along with the room. You knew you're about to find out something really bad, maybe even bad enough to be life-changing, when your parents start a conversation like that. They would either say, take a seat, honey, or this is not as bad as it sounds, but worst of all was the dreaded, this is not your fault. So I braced myself. I held Jasper a little tighter than was comfortable for him and said, what was not my fault? Dada put his hand on Mom's knee, signaling he'd take it from there. I've been let go by the restaurant. Let go? You mean fired? Dada took a deep breath. Yes, that's what I mean. But I don't want you to worry about it. Why did Mr. Manelli fire you? Was it because of me? Dada and Mama traded swift glances again, and then Mom said, it's not your fault that your father can't separate business from his personal life. I suppose he's very protective of his child, and so are we. Now, let me read that again. It's not your fault that her father can't separate business from his personal life. I suppose he's very protective of his child, and so are we. But Dada worked there way before I became friends with Brooklyn. Why? Dada slid off the couch and sat on the floor facing me. Mango, honey, this was all my fault. I overheard the seafood delivery guy telling Mr. Manelli, about some bully who stole his kid's bike. Then Manelli started in on how his daughter was the victim of a school bully who was jealous of her cell phone. Now, see, I thought all this business was squashed after we replaced the phone and all, but I just couldn't help myself. I asked him if he were referring to my daughter, because you are certainly not a bully. And, well, it all happened so fast. He admitted that he was talking about you, but not talking to me, so I should mind my own business. And I said, my daughter is my business. And we exchanged a few more heated words, and the next thing you know, he fired me. My bottom lip began to tremble, and I curled it behind my teeth to stop it. That I reached for my chin. There's no need to worry. Everything will be fine. I can go back to catering until I get another job. In the meantime, I'll keep planning my own restaurant. We'll be fine. I'll go back to work rather than later, Mom said. Your father will be at home to look after Jasper for a while. Everything will work out, you'll see. As much as I tried to stop it, I couldn't help the tears that dropped from my eyes and landed in Jasper's little afro. This is all my fault. You wouldn't have had to defend me if I hadn't been so stupid. Dada took Jasper out of my arms and handed him to Mom. He put his arms around me and held me to his chest. Mango, please don't blame yourself. I defended you because Mr. Manelli was wrong. I couldn't help myself. If anyone's to blame, it's me, but I don't have any regrets. I will defend you to the ends of the earth no matter what, come what may. You are no bully. You are a good girl, my sweet bonononos. Jasper started getting cranky. Mom lifted his bottom to her nose, frowned, and took him away to change his diaper. Dada continued to rock me until my tears subsided. I lifted my head from his chest, and he looked at me with the most gentle smile on his face. Okay, your turn. What's your news? I looked at him for a moment, not understanding what he was referring to. Then it came back to me, the audition. But all the joy and excitement that had been bubbling inside me had gone flat. I said, nothing really, nothing important. May I be excused now? I have a lot of homework to do. Dad asked if I was sure, and I nodded yes. I got up from the floor and went to my room. Before entering, I looked back at Dada. He was still sitting on the floor with his shoulders hunched forward and his head down, and I knew the truth. Things were not as rosy as he and Mom were trying to make me believe. They were trying to protect me by making it seem as though they had nothing to worry about, but I could see that Dada was upset. I knew it was too soon for Mom to go back to work. The way her false leg had been hurting lately, it would be torture for her to keep it on all day. I went straight to my bed and buried my face in the pillow. Things would be tough for all of us now. I decided if I got cast in the play, I would turn it down. Then I would be able to come straight home after school every day and take care of Jasper while Dada looked for work or for investors in his restaurant or did catering jobs if any of those came along. I wasn't even going to tell my parents about that audition. That way, if I were cast in Yo Romeo, they wouldn't feel bad about me turning it down. I felt proud that Dada believed in me enough to stand up to his boss. But I couldn't help thinking that if I'd never picked that phone up from the trash, none of this would ever have happened. Mom and Dada said they didn't blame me for all of our troubles, but I sure did. See you next chapter.